In a world where might often means right, the story of Gedeon stands as a beacon of hope. Etched in the annals of ancient history, Gedeon's tale is one of triumph against overwhelming odds. A tale that continues to resonate across millennia, reminding us all that the power of the small should never be underestimated. Delve back in time to an era of conflict and strife, a time when Gideon, an unlikely hero, was called upon to lead his people against the formidable Midianites. His forces, merely a small troop, vastly outnumbered and seemingly ill-equipped for the battle that lay ahead. The odds were stacked against them, yet they harbored a power far greater than numbers alone could convey. This power was beautifully epitomized in the words of Judges 7 from the Bible, where the Lord reassures Gedeon saying, "By the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thine hand." These words echo a profound truth that transcends time and space. It's not the size of the troop that determines victory, but the force behind it. Gideon's small troop, though dwarfed by the Midianite army, was backed by a power that far surpassed mere physical might. They were driven by a divine force, an unyielding faith that fortified their spirits and guided their actions. Their victory serves as a timeless testament to the extraordinary potential that lies within the seemingly ordinary. So as we traverse the landscape of our own lives faced with challenges that seem insurmountable, let us remember Gedeon's story. Let it remind us that even when we feel small, when the odds seem overwhelmingly against us, we carry within us a power that is immeasurable. The story of Gedeon tells us that size isn't everything, it's the power behind the troop that matters. The power behind Gideon's troop wasn't their weapons or their numbers, it was something far greater. In the story of Gedeon we see an incredible instance of divine intervention. Here was a man, not a king, not a warrior, but a farmer. And yet, he was chosen to lead a small band of 300 men against a formidable enemy. It was not his strength or his strategic brilliance that led to their victory, it was the hand of God. This story is a testament to how God works through the small and the insignificant to bring about major changes. It's not about the size of your army, but the size of your faith. It's not about your physical prowess, but your spiritual strength. As we delve deeper into the story, we find that Gedeon was initially doubtful. He questioned his ability and his worthiness. But God reassured him saying, "I will be with you. You will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive." And so, armed with nothing but their faith and their trust in God, Gideon's small troop faced their enemies, and they emerged victorious, not by their own might but by the divine intervention of God. This brings to mind a passage from 1 Corinthians 1:27, "But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong." In the eyes of the world, Gedeon and his small troop were foolish and weak, but in the eyes of God, they were the perfect instruments to bring about his divine plan. They were the evidence of his power, his wisdom, and his love. In the grand tapestry of life we often feel small, insignificant, even foolish. But remember, God often chooses the least among us to accomplish the greatest things. He works not through our strengths, but through our weaknesses. So the next time you feel small, remember Gedeon. Remember his small troop. Remember how God worked through them to bring about a great victory. God works in mysterious ways, often choosing the least among us to accomplish the greatest things. Gideon's story isn't just a tale from the past, it's a lesson for us today. As we delve deeper into the life of Gedeon, we discover a man who, despite his humble background and self-doubts, was chosen to lead an outnumbered army to victory. And what are the gems we can unearth from this narrative? First, let's look at the essential role of faith. Gedeon was not a warrior, not a hero in the conventional sense, but he was a man of faith. His faith didn't eliminate his fears, but it gave him the courage to act despite them. He trusted in a power greater than himself, a power that could turn the tide of any battle. This faith is echoed in the words of Philippians 4:13, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Next, Gideon teaches us about courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to press on despite it. Gideon was scared, yet he stepped onto the battlefield, armed with nothing but a trumpet, a jar, and a torch. His courage was born out of his belief in divine guidance. Lastly, Gideon's story is a testament to the virtue of humility. Despite his monumental victory, Gideon didn't let success get to his head. He recognized that his triumph wasn't due to his prowess or strategy, but to divine intervention. He remained humble, reminding us that true strength lies in recognizing our own limitations and relying on a power greater than ourselves. Gideon's story is a beacon of hope, illuminating the path for us when our own battles seem insurmountable. It teaches us that with faith, courage, and humility, we can overcome any obstacle that stands in our way. Like Gideon, we too can overcome insurmountable odds with faith and courage. Through his story, we are reminded that we are not alone in our struggles. We too are part of a larger narrative, a grand design where even our smallest actions can have significant impacts. So let's carry these lessons forward and, like Gideon, dare to believe in the power of the small, the courage of the humble, and the strength of faith. You might feel small and insignificant, but remember Gideon. Just like Gideon, we all have faced moments of self-doubt and insignificance. The feeling of being a mere speck in the grand scheme of life can be overwhelming. But let's not forget, Gideon too was a part of a small troop, seemingly insignificant in the face of a mighty army. Yet, he triumphed, not because of his size, but because of his faith and courage. When we look at our lives, we see a reflection of Gideon's story. We might not be facing literal armies, but we all have our own battles to fight. And often we feel dwarfed by the enormity of our challenges, just like Gideon. But what can we learn from his story? Let's turn to the book of Matthew chapter 17 verse 20. It says, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." This analogy beautifully encapsulates the power of faith and belief. A mustard seed is one of the smallest seeds, yet it can grow into a large tree. Similarly, even if our faith is as small as a mustard seed, it can move mountains. How does this connect to you, you might ask? Well, each one of us has a mustard seed within us, a spark of potential that's waiting to burst forth. And just like that tiny seed, you too have the potential to grow, to overcome your challenges, and to make a difference. It's not about how small you start, but how big you can grow. Just like Gideon, you too can triumph over your challenges, regardless of their size. All you need is faith, courage, and the will to keep going. You are more powerful than you think. Like Gideon, you too can make a difference. Remember, the size of your beginnings doesn't define you. It's the strength of your faith and the depth of your courage that truly matter. Believe in yourself, for you are capable of far more than you can imagine. Gideon's story is a testament to the power of faith and the might of the small. This tale we've journeyed through together has shown us the transformative power of courage, faith, and the belief in oneself. It's been a voyage through the ages, a glimpse into the life of a man who, despite being from the smallest tribe and the weakest clan, rose to greatness through his unwavering faith. Remember how we explored the power of the small? How Gideon, with a mere 300 men, triumphed over a vast enemy? It was not by might nor by power, but by the spirit of faith and courage that they prevailed. A beautiful testament to the fact that size does not determine strength, nor does quantity define quality. We then ventured into the divine touch, understanding that it is not our strength, but God's strength within us that makes the impossible possible. This divine touch was evident in Gideon's life, guiding him, strengthening him, and ultimately leading him to triumph. Our journey continued as we delved into the lessons from Gideon. We saw how he overcame fear, stepped out in faith, and allowed God's power to work through him. These lessons speak not only to Gideon's time but to ours, reminding us that with faith, courage, and a willingness to step out, we too can overcome. And finally, we explored the power of you. Yes, you. Just as Gideon was chosen, so are you. You have within you the power to change, to grow, to overcome. Never underestimate the power of one, for it is the one who can change the world. Now it's your turn. Embrace the power within you like Gideon and see how God works. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this video, we appreciate your support through subscribing and liking. Until next time, stay blessed and inspired.